Hi, buddy. These are our directions for a metal stool, and we're going to start by telling Miss Cell Phone Talker to go away, and then I'm going to orbit around a little bit because I want to make a rectangle standing up on its short end. So I'm going to go ahead and get my rectangle tool here. I'm going to go right like this. This way SketchUp will know which way to draw it, and I am going to make this 30 inches by 12 inches, and we hit return, and notice that it just put the long side down. I don't want that. So all I got to do is switch those two numbers. I just got to go 12 inches first by 30 inches second, and then it makes it just fine. So go ahead and make your 30-inch tall by 12-inch rectangle. Stop the recording until you've got that done. All right. Now that you've got the rectangle made, we're going to go ahead and we're going to basically be making one of the legs of our stool here. And we're not going to worry about exact measurements here. You just need to kind of get close, get the idea. Let's get where we can really see the whole rectangle kind of right in one view. And I'm going to get my line tool. And I'm not going to go directly in the middle. I'm going to go just a little bit to the left of the middle, not much. And I'm going to come down about a third of the way down. Again, we're not looking for, exact numbers here, but about a third of the way down. I'm going to click and I'm going to come over here about a third of the way down, and I'm going to click here. And again, we're not looking exact on this. Now, this is going to make a really angular leg, and we don't want that. So we're going to come in with our 2-point arc tool, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to start just right about here at that midpoint. You can see that's the midpoint from here to here. I'll go to that midpoint. I'm going to click. I'm going to come down to the center. I'm not clicking. I'm coming out here. Now, notice I start getting that line. Now, at some point, that line's going to turn color right there. And I'm going to double click really quick. And you can see it just turned that into a really nice curve. And I'm going to do the exact same thing down below here. I'm going to come find the midpoint between here and here, and there it is. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to come up here, but I'm not clicking, and I'm going to start going up here, and you see there's that line again, and I'm going to wait till it turns colors, and now I'm going to double click on it real fast, and you can see now it didn't erase this line. That's okay, but you can see we now have this really nice curved line all the way down, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to erase all the parts that I don't want. And that's basically all of that and the bottom here. And that, so I have this one nice curve section all the way down. So go ahead and stop the movie and draw that. All right. Now that we've got our nice curved line here, we're going to draw a little circle at the end of it. So we're going to have to do a little moving around here. So I'm going to get here and I'm going to orbit. So I'm kind of looking straight down on this because I want to make this circle right at the bottom of the leg here. And so I'll zoom in. I'll go get my circle tool here, which is right there. And again, we're eyeballing it. We're not making an exact measure. Don't worry about that, but just make it, not too big, kind of like the bullseye on a target. And I don't want this round. That looks too boring later on. So I'm going to select this, and I'm going to get my dimension tool. My dimension tool is down here with the move tool, and it puts all those lines around it, those green lights. You've used the dimension tool before, and it's different on every keyboard, but it's one of the keys to the left of your space bar. When you push it, you're going to get a little dot like that in the center. So you got to get that dot and hold it. And now just grab one, either this or this, the ones that are right along this red line here, and just drag that and make it a little bit elongated so it's not a perfect circle, because this looks really neat on our tape on our desk later on. So go ahead and make that circle, pause the movie, and come back as soon as it's done. All right. Now that we've done that, we're going to come and we're going to make this whole thing we've drawn so far a component. And this one, I don't want to try and click and get all the pieces because that can be tough. So instead, I'm going to put the whole thing in a box that lights the whole thing up blue, put my mouse on it and say, make a component. We want a component. And I'm going to call that component just the leg. And I'll say, okay. And we'll double check to make sure we got it, and we do. Okay, so go ahead and make this whole thing a component. Stop the movie. All right, now that we've made this whole thing a component, now we're going to do a little rotating of it, and it's really important, one, that we can see the blue lines around it just like that. It's also really important that we have a really good view. Move this a little bit. We also need a really good view of this piece right there. We need to be right on this spot. And once I'm there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my rotate tool. And my rotate tool is, oh, it's not there. My rotate tool is here with my move tool. I'm going to select my rotate tool. Oh, I'm going to have to do it again. Got to get it ready to go. So again, that's get my rotate tool. And I'm going to put that rotate tool right on this spot. I'm going to left click one time, and then you can come out any distance here you want. It doesn't really make any difference. But once I click again, notice it'll rotate it right around that first click. So I'm going to rotate it, and I want to rotate it 90 degrees. And I'm going to go ahead while I do that and make a copy of it. And once it's rotated 90 degrees, you can see that in the angle there down in the lower right corner. I'll click there. Now I got to do that 2 more times. So I'm going to go ahead and click again, come out here, click, make a copy, 90 degrees. Then I'm going to once again click in the center, come out here, make a copy, and click at 90 degrees. And when you're done with that, you'll have all of those nicely done 90 degrees apart. So go ahead and stop the video and do that now. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get this whole thing selected because we're going to rotate this whole thing 45 degrees. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's very important that we can see this very center piece right there. You see it makes kind of a box, and we want to be right in the center of that. And I'm once again going to get my rotate tool. I'm going to click right on that center piece, come out this line some distance, doesn't really make any difference. I'm going to click, and I'm going to start rotating this until I see 45 down in the little angle box, and SketchUp likes finding 45. There, it did it, and I'm going to go ahead and click. And now I've moved all that 45 degrees, and I've got that whole thing now where the feet are kind of coming right out in between these lower lines. Okay, go ahead and do that. Stop the movie. All right, so our next step is to put some braces in the bottom of this. And what we're going to want to do on this, and again, we're just eyeballing this first one. I'm going to come right up the leg about to where it curves at. And I'm just going to make a line, any old spot, but I'm going to come over and connect it to the next line. And notice that line wants to be red or green, one of the two. Yours may start out being green, but it needs to be one of the two. I'm going to go ahead and click and connect that. And now I'm going to rotate. And now I'm going to draw another line. And you can see it just kind of picks up where I left off. It didn't. I could click again. Now notice it's green, but it's got to be red or green. And rotate again, running this all the way around. And I'm going to go ahead. There, found again. Notice it's red, red or green. And what that red or green is telling us is that they're all on the same, what's called plane, or they'll be even distance off the floor, if you will. Come here. And again, I'll have to click there because I get green. Just what I want, and I click it there. Notice on that last one, it filled in that center section. I don't want that. So I'm going to come select that and backspace it. And what I really want is I want this line going all the way around that. It's my brace for the lower part of my chair, and that'll look really nice. So go ahead and make that, right? Pause the movie and make that now. All right. The next piece we're going to make can be kind of tricky, and there's a little bit of trial and error with it, which you won't have any trouble with. But the first thing we need to do is we need to move in on any one of our little cross sections right here, and we kind of got to look as much as we can straight onto it. We can't look totally straight on because then we can't see what we need to work with, but we kind of need to be right about here. And I'm going to go ahead and get my circle tool, and I'm going to put it right on that line anywhere. And I am going to pull out a little circle like this. And then once I've got that circle, I'm going to elongate it like we did the feet down here on it. And so I am going to go ahead and select it. And I'm going to hit the dimension key right there. And I'm going to hit my key that puts the red box in the middle. And I'm going to pull this out a little bit so it's a little bit oblong like our first pieces we did were. Okay, now the problem is very hard for me to tell the size on this. So I'm going to go ahead and I am just going to back out for a second so I can get a good idea of its sizing compared to my other feet that I drew. So, and I got to, as always, got to move around so I can see it. So I can see this. This one doesn't look bad. I got pretty close, but you can see it looks a little smaller than these. So I'm going to go ahead and just the easiest way if I need to adjust that a little bit. I've done this a couple times where this just comes out looking really small. This one's just a little too small. So all I got to do if I want to fix that is come and hit the dimension tool, get the red, which finds the center. Now I'm going to grab a corner. Before I grab this one, now I want a corner, and I'm going to just grab that and pull it out. That enlarges the whole thing just a bit. And I just did it a little bit because I didn't need to make it much larger. And now you can see that's about the size of those feet on the bottom, which is kind of what we're looking. If it's going to be anything, make it a little smaller than these. But again, I didn't make any kind of measurements there. So go ahead and put that on there. Pause the movie. And when you're done, restart. All right, now that we're done with this, we're ready to actually make the crossbar, and we'll use the magic of follow me. The first thing I'm going to do is get my follow me tool ready to use so it's up in my tool tray. And then I'm going to take my select key, I'm going to hold my shift, and I'm going to make all these lines blue. And now that I made all those lines blue, I'm going to get follow me. They all went non-blue. Don't worry about that. I'm going to put it on this, and boom. I just extruded that all the way around the bottom of my stool. Now, go ahead and do that. Stop the movie, and when you're done, restart. All right. Now what we did here, we're going to do with our legs. So what we're going to need to do, again, I'm going to need to orbit so I can see this well. I'm just going to get to where I kind of have a good side view of one of my legs. And I am going to put the leg in edit mode, which means I got to have the little broken line around there. And this is going to be in a bunch of sections. So I'm going to hold shift. I'm going to make all the line all the way down here blue. And you can see it doesn't want to do it all at once. All these little curved sections, it's seen as a separate section. So we need to make this blue all the way down. Once we have that, we'll zoom in here. We'll get follow me. We'll put it on there, and boom, that just extruded that. Now we have basically the base of our stool with the legs, a nice crossbar for support all the way around. And we're looking real good on that. So go ahead and do that. Pause the movie until you are done. All right. Our final thing we do is need to make the seat, and it's a fairly easy thing, but sometimes we get a glitch that I've never been able to figure out. But the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to zoom in here, and we're going to want to find the exact center of the seat, and we're going to want to take our pencil, hook it right up there. It'll say the end point, and we want to come straight up the blue line just a little bit, not an exact number, and I want to make that line right there. Okay. Then I want to tilt this a little bit so it knows which way to make the circle. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come up here on a circle. And I've got to make sure the circle is going in the right direction. And there we go. I want the circle to be blue. And so then I'm going to pull the circle out. And the size of this circle, we're going to have to probably adjust in a minute. So I'm just kind of making a guess right there. And then this is going to be the post for the seat. And we want it a little bigger than this. We want it to kind of come out not all the way to here, but we want a little bigger than this. This is another one where we're just kind of guessing a little bit on this. And so once again, we need our friend, the dimension tool. We've got to do that. And I'm just going to pull this out about like this. I don't want it past this part of the stool, but you get the basic idea. And so now that we've got that and it's nice and even, now I'm going to go ahead and move this up. And what I want to do is I want to get so I have kind of a bottom side view of this. And I want to pull this down all the way through the center of this. This is going to be our post for our seat. So I'll go ahead and get push pull. I'll grab the bottom of this and I'll just run it right through the bottom of our seat like that. And so it looks like that. And that is our seat post. Now, again, guys, this has got some tricky pieces to it. When you make that circle, make sure the circle is colored blue, because if it isn't, this is going to tilt funny on you and you're never going to get the seat of your stool to be even. So go ahead and stop the video and go ahead and make that. All right, the final part of this is very easy no matter what. We're going to go right to here. We're going to get our circle again. We're going to make the seat. We're going to go right to the center of this, which SketchUp will find. And we want to pull this out a little bit bigger than our leg. So a little bit, about like that, a little bit further. And then we'll tilt it. And we've got it like that. And you can see everything's nice and even. And we'll just pull it up until it looks like a nice, fluffy, attractive seat. That looks pretty good to me. And then, of course, we got to get that little center piece in there too. So I'm going to have to orbit a little bit so I can see that piece. And I'll pull it. And I'll bring it up to the same size. And now we finally have our completed metal stool. And this is a really fun drawing, I think, because it gets you to just use all kinds of follow me and curves and does all sorts of neat stuff. All right, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching.